I am really, really, really having some bad technical difficulties doing this live tonight. For real, for real. Okay? This is my, I think this is my third time trying to go live. Yeah. Hmm. But anyway, this is what I want to start um, dysfunctional families, post traumatic slave syndrome off with. Now, listen at this. Y'all bear with me now. What I want to play for you, it is three ways intergenerational trauma still impacts the Black community today. All right. So y'all listen up. I hope y'all can hear it. Let's see. Okay, now what's the problem? What's going on here? Play. I'm trying to play this thing. Hey, come on now. I apologize. What is the what's going on here? Why am I having problems tonight? Let me try it like
People
that.
throughout history. 3 Ways Intergenerational Trauma Still Impacts the Black Community Today. By Janice Gassam Asari. Black History Month is a time of year when we reflect on all the accomplishments, achievements, and accolades of Black people living in America throughout history. In recent years, there has been a shift away from focusing solely on the pain and suffering that Black people have endured, aptly labeled as trauma porn, which has catalyzed the Black Joy movement. The movement seeks to highlight the fullness of Black humanity. And while it is imperative to have a balanced understanding that doesn't focus only on trauma, awareness of the historical harm that has been caused to Black people globally is necessary to understand how to support and advocate for the Black community. One major consequence of settler colonialism is the trauma that is passed down from generation to generation, what psychologists label as intergenerational trauma. The American Psychological Association defines this as a phenomenon in which the descendants of a person who has experienced a terrifying event show adverse emotional and behavioral reactions to the event that are similar to those of the person himself or herself. For Black Americans who descended from enslaved people, the trauma that was experienced by ancestors has been passed down through each generation. This trauma was explored in detail in the work of Dr. Joy DeGruy Leary, who wrote the book Post-Traumatic Slave Syndrome: America's Legacy of Enduring Injury and Healing. There is also evidence of the legacy of settler colonial trauma within Africa and the Caribbean. There are 3 important outcomes of intergenerational trauma that deserve further exploration. 1. Self-esteem. In the 1940s, husband and wife psychology researchers Mamie and Kenneth Clark conducted a study to better understand the impacts of segregation on Black children. The results of their study found that a large portion of the Black children showed a preference for white dolls over Black dolls. The results of this study have been replicated in recent decades. In the aforementioned book, Leary explains that one of the after-effects of slavery that has been observed is vacant self-esteem, which can include feelings of hopelessness and depression. The negative racial stereotypes that have been applied to Black people throughout history may have been internalized and passed down from generation to generation. For many Black youth, especially those from deprived and under-resourced communities, learned helplessness may be another consequence of intergenerational trauma. Learned helplessness is the perception that no matter what a person does, they cannot change their situation or condition. A person who feels learned helplessness, though frustrated, will stop trying to change their circumstances. Hearing stories from ancestors that experienced racism and then having to witness and experience racial megathreats like the ones on consistent display in the media may contribute to feelings of learned helplessness. Enslavement did not end with the Emancipation Proclamation. The impacts on sense of self and self-worth are important to consider. Programs developed for the purpose of pouring back into Black people are imperative to aid in the restoration and reparation process. 2. Health outcomes. Racial battle fatigue is defined as the social phenomenon in which persons who experience chronic racial discrimination develop physiological, psychological, and emotional strain due to excessive amounts of energy expended on race-related stressors.
Yep.
The continued and ongoing effects of navigating racist environments can have a deleterious impact on a person's health. Racism is associated with many negative health outcomes. One 2010 study found that Black women experienced accelerated biological aging due to prolonged stressors. Research indicates that racism is associated with higher stress levels, which can increase the risk of high blood pressure. Hypertension is a condition that afflicts a higher percentage of Black people compared to other racial and ethnic groups. Racism could be one of the contributing factors. There are racial differences found in sleep patterns, with Black people on average getting less sleep than counterparts. Young adults aged 18 to 28 who experience discrimination were more likely to experience psychological distress, to be diagnosed with a mental illness, or to report excessive drug use. There is a cornucopia of evidence outlining the health implications of racism. To complicate matters, disparities in healthcare access, food deserts, and environmental racism exacerbate these issues even further. Having an understanding of the impacts of racism is important to design interventions to mitigate these effects. There should be support systems in place to provide greater accessibility as well as tools for stress reduction and stress management. 3. Internalized oppression. People from marginalized groups often internalize racist stereotypes about their own group. Within the Black community, this can show up in a number of different ways. Colorism, texturism, and featureism are built around the oppressive belief that physical attributes that are closer to white are more acceptable, presentable, and beautiful. Internalized oppression can also show up as respectability politics, the belief that behaving in a certain way makes a person more valuable and more deserving of respect and dignity. There is a pervasive and false belief that aligning with whiteness will shield you from racial harm. Disassociating oneself from Blackness in order to ascend in society is one of the ways that internalized oppression shows up. We see a trend of Black public figures who have distanced themselves from the Black community through public statements and affirmations, only to later realize that their status did not save them from racism. The remnants of settler colonialism have deceived Black people into thinking that the enemy is each other, when in actuality everyone is harmed by the very same system.
Bam.
If the cases of Oprah, A$AP Rocky, and Henry Louis Gates Jr. taught us anything, it's that no amount of wealth, fame, or notoriety will shield you from anti-Black racism. More conversations must be had about the falsities that are internalized and passed on to the next generation. Awareness of the issue is the first and most necessary step to eradicate this relic of intergenerational trauma.
So I wanted to play that first before I actually got started on talking about dysfunctional family, post-traumatic slave syndrome. So, yeah, it says 3 ways intergenerational trauma still impacts the Black community today. Absolutely. Passed down from one generation to the next, you know. So let me put this. Oh, dang. Went out of this. I was wanting to save the link so I can put it down in the description box. I should have did that before I even got started. But anyway, y'all, please forgive me. My, I don't know what you want to call it. Me not putting it down in this description box. Yeah. So, y'all, please, those who come on in, can you not forget to do the like button? Oh, can you guys let me know, am I pixelating when you come in? Is my video all chopped up? Can you all see me clear and hear me clearly? You know, let's see here. Hold on. I'm trying to read the comments. What you say? Um, okay. All right. Thank you so much for your response, Ray Sunshine. Peace and blessings to you. Yeah, because I want to know if I'm, you know, showing okay. Yeah. But this here, dysfunctional family that's been going on in the black family for a long, 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 long time. It extended from, what our foreparents went through during slavery time. Let me kind of get relaxed, y'all. Prop my feet up 'cause I'm tired. Excuse me. I'm trying to get comfortable here. Yeah. Whew. I was tired, y'all. I'm very, very tired. Absolutely. Like I said, it's past 11 p.m. here in Ghana, West Africa. Mm-hmm. Mm, 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 mm. Yeah, I'm tired. But anyway, as I was saying, it extends way back when. Um, if you really think about it, how long we have been um, made slaves during that time, it was a long time for hundreds of years that we was in servitude slavery, right? And the black man was forced to be a stud, to go from one plantation to another, being made to breed like cattle, you know, um, and I'm quite sure he developed some type of emotional detachment to the women that he was made to mount. Okay, um, a emotional detachment from the children that he got along the way. Yeah, and so look at that, though that type of behavior, right? And then the trauma that our people suffered during that time. Wow. Hmm. If you can imagine or go back from what you can remember seeing, the movies or what your grandparents tell you, uh, what they have experienced and what they foreparents have experienced, uh, during slavery period. Man, the fear that was put in us. Good God Almighty. Hey, but anyway, uh, most of y'all already know about the forced into slavery thing and what our foreparents went through, our ancestors, and so forth and so on. So I'm gonna fast forward up to today, dysfunctional families, especially um, the African American families. Yes, we were never meant to be a functional family, right? And all that trauma was passed, the trauma, the behavior, all of that stuff was passed on down, from one generation to the next generation. And it caused us to be dysfunctional. Um, just like the lady was saying just now that I played um, three ways intergenerational. Um, what did that say? Hold up, y'all. Let me get back to. Oh, wait just a second. Wait just a minute now. Healed in. Oh, yeah, three ways intergenerational trauma still impacts the black community today. Y'all have to excuse me. I'm squinching my eyes because I'm tired. Okay. But all of that fear, that trauma, you know, that's been passed down, um, it still affects us today, you guys. Yeah, it still affect us to this date. And just because some of us is very wealthy and well off or rich, or celebrities, movie stars, actors, or actresses, entertainers, or whatever, presidents, it doesn't matter. You're black, and you are affected by it. No black person escapes post-traumatic slave syndrome. We do not escape intergenerational trauma. It's still going on today. Okay, and like the lady was saying, that even Michael Jackson didn't escape it, right? Oprah Winfrey, she did not escape it either. None of those people escaped it, no matter how much money they have. You know, you cannot escape intergenerational trauma, you know. So, I think about my own family, my own personal family, the things that, I went through as a child growing up. Now, you guys, look, try to follow me. But if you can't follow me, I'm sorry. But sometimes I'll be all over the place, very fragmented. So, but just try to follow me and try to keep up with me. And I hope you can, you know, um, understand or understand or overstand where I'm coming from with this here dysfunctional family thing, post-traumatic slave syndrome, right? Um, from what I know, hey, there is no counseling out there for us black folks um, to help deal with this interracial trauma, um, to help us deal with it, to help us to be able to uplift ourselves, because the counseling, the psychiatrists or the psychiatric um, or whatever you want to call it, they don't have that out there for black people. Again, we was never meant to be a functional family, to have a healthy, functional relationship with our family members. We have really been damaged, you guys. And so my point is this, is that we need to um, get together and come up with a way that we can deal with this here interracial trauma, post-traumatic slave syndrome, because again, they're not going to help us deal with to deal with it. They're not going to help us deal with it. Hey, you're not going to help us overcome it. Y'all have to excuse me. I don't know why I'm doing it right now. Why I'm very super, super tired, because my brain is like slow. That's how I feel right now. Slow. But this is a very, very important topic, you guys, and something that needs to be looked at and looked into. Yeah, this is serious. We got too many of our children that's being messed up because of the intergenerational trauma. We are still being impacted to this day, from that. Absolutely. And that's something that needs to be, as I said, talked about, dealt with. And you heard what she said. Hold up. Let's see. Let me play this again. Because she could say it better than I can say it right now. Because right now I am very, very tired. I'm very tired, you guys. So I might have to like come back when I'm rested and my mind is clear. So we can really get off into this here topic, dig deep off into it. Yes. But I'm going to play this again for those of you who didn't get a chance to hear it. And when you come in, y'all, please don't forget to hit the like button. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And share for me. Yeah. My brain's is kind of sleeping already. So I apologize, you guys. For real, for real. Here you go.
3 Ways Intergenerational Trauma Still Impacts the Black Community Today. By Janice Gassim-Asari. Black History.
I just cut out because my internet went out. I apologize. I'm constantly apologizing, you guys, because I'm having technical difficulties. My live just cut out because my internet just went out. It said no services. My Wi-Fi box, it said no service. So I had to shut it down and reboot it. Yep, so now I'm back. How long, I don't know. And that's the reason why I didn't want to use that particular Wi-Fi connection to do this live. I wanted to use the one on this one. I have 2 of them, right? So I wanted to use this particular one to do the live from, because it's not going to go completely out. It may pixelate, but it's not going to cut completely off like this one I'm on right now. And the reason why I'm on this one is because this darn phone overheated on me. That's why. So, but why? Such an important topic. I'm having technical difficulties. This thing here, it overheat. The other one, it just cut off and say no services. When I have uploaded enough data in order to do this here live, you guys. But I apologize for it cutting off. So I'm letting y'all know in advance. And apologize in advance for the internet cutting off on me. And when it cut off, that means it shuts off my live, okay? So I apologize for that. Yeah. But back to the topic, dysfunctional families, post-traumatic slave syndrome. We are still suffering from intergenerational trauma from what happened during slavery time, when they had our foreparents, our ancestors in slavery. That's the reason why, no, serious, you really think about it. That's the reason why we have high rate of alcoholism in the Black community, high rate of all type of sicknesses and diseases like diabetes, ovarian cancer, prostate cancer, you name it. We're at the top of the list at, having all those diseases, right? The families are dysfunctional. No matter how much money we have, no matter what type of status or clout or educational background or degrees and that we have, we still have that intergenerational trauma in our lives. We're not functioning. We really, okay, I know what I'm trying to say. Y'all just bear with me. It's there in my mind, but like I can't get it out of my mouth. I'm laughing at my own self. Yeah. So, take my own family, for instance. Okay, me personally, I'll talk about myself. I won't talk about my other family members like my siblings, but I will talk about me. All right. the things that I've been through as a child, going into my adulthood, I didn't have a good relationship with my ex-husband. Okay, um, that relationship was very dysfunctional. Okay, the things that he used to tell me, I'm talking about my ex-husband, the things that he used to tell me that he went through it as a child, and seeing his um, father was very mean to his mother, right? Um, the things that I saw as a child growing up, I had a stepfather, and how he treated my mom, you know, and it was so very dysfunctional, right? To the point where when I saw them, he was an alcoholic. Okay, my stepfather was an alcoholic. Um, I remember one particular time when he was putting hands on my mother. Right, I jumped in to defend my mother. I was about to kill that man. Absolutely, I grabbed a knife, and I was about to come down on that man. And my mother's cousin happened to be there at that time, and she grabbed me like this. Let me put the phone down. She grabbed me as I was coming down like this on him. She caught my wrist. I had that knife in my hand. I was come down on that man. I was about to kill that man for what he was doing, to my mother. And as he was beating on my mom, he was in between my mother and myself, and he was beating on her, and she saw me coming with the knife, right? Oh, she saw me coming with the knife, and she was saying, "No, no, you're not to know." And my mom's cousin, which is my cousin too, came, and she grabbed me when I was my arm, she grabbed my wrist when I was about to come down on him, with that knife. So those type of trauma that we suffer from, right? And it's passed on down. Like the things that she went through it when she was pregnant with me, things that I went through when I was pregnant with my children, you know, that stuff is carried in the genes, in the DNA. Absolutely. You are really affected by what goes on um, in your mother's life before you was born, right? Intergenerational trauma is not only learned behavior, but it's also passed down in the genes. Okay, um, wow. You guys look it up, do the research, because I'm trying to articulate it in the way that, in a way that you can follow me. Okay, where you can understand when I say it is passed down, the trauma is passed down through or in the genes. All right. So I'm trying to think of an example that I can give in reference to that. How the trauma is passed down into the genes, into the child. Excuse me. But yeah, so we are truly affected by um, intergenerational trauma, post-traumatic slave syndrome. You know, um, you know, drugs, high rate of drugs addiction in the Black community. Um, all that dysfunctional that goes on, especially in the ghettos, the lower bottoms. Um, yeah. Even though we are beautiful, brilliant people, but we still suffer from what happened to our foreparents. The learned behavior passed down from one generation to the next, the trauma that's passed down through the genes, and the DNA, genetics, right? We are still affected by that today, and you guys may hear me repeat that over and over because I'm reiterating it absolutely. And So we don't have an outlet, you guys. We don't have an outlet. Our outlet used to be going to church, right? But now that done failed us. Our outlet used to be Big Mama in the community, right? Y'all know Big Mama, Madia, in the black community. We used to have that, but now we don't have that no more, you know. So we no longer have an outlet. Um, somebody that we can go to and confine in, because everything is based off the Caucasian European standard, right? Everything is based off of that standard. And that's not for us. It don't work for us. It really don't work for us. No, it don't. So we need our own standards, something that will work for black families, something that will work for black families. Okay? Um, just like, hold up. Let me show y'all something real quick. Like this book right here, Vitamins and Minerals from A to Z by Dr. Jewel Pookrum. And in here, she talk about um, how the hospitals and doctors or the medical society treat black people according to the Caucasian standards, right? So therefore, they're not treating us according to our own blood type, our own tissues, our own um, uh, bones and genes and genetics and things like that, right? So we're not, and when we go to these hospitals in the United States of America, even though I'm in Ghana, West Africa, we're not being treated according to us, our standard. We're being treated according to someone else's standards. So that's the reason why there's a high rate of death amongst black people in the hospitals in the United States of America, because we're being treated according to someone else's standards. Um, Let me see here. Hold on, y'all. Coming. Let me find this part in here where she was saying that we're being treated according to the Caucasian standards. I don't know. I wasn't intending to refer to this book, you guys, but this will help me explain what I'm talking about, okay, where you all can be able to follow me better. But I wasn't prepared to go here. That's why I have to look for it, and it might take a minute for me to find what I'm looking for, because this would tie into us not being psychologically um, treated according to the traumas that we've been through from one generation to the next. Okay, they don't have that out there for us. Post-traumatic slave syndrome, counseling. How white folks gonna give you counseling? How is the psychiatric system is based off and is according to their own standards of the Caucasian standard, not according to black people's standards. Okay, because again, how is a people who enslave you, mistreat you, abuse you, don't even look at you as a full human being, you know, and don't have no respect for you, don't like you, that hate you, is going to treat you for the shit that they caused you? How? No. You can't go to your enemy for help. No, you cannot. Post-traumatic slave syndrome, dysfunctional family, post-traumatic slave syndrome, y'all. We're hurting. Black families are hurting. Absolutely. We have adapted and learned a negative behavior from what our foreparents and ancestors have been through. Okay? Self-hatred is one of them. Yep. I have to excuse me the way I'm sitting. Let me pick this camera up. See where else can I set this at? Yeah. I'm trying to get comfortable. I'm leaning over like this. Maybe if I sit back a little bit, like this here, because I'm tired. I want to go get in bed and film from the bed, you know, video from the bed. Yeah. But these things has been passed down from one generation to the next. Incest did I say that right? Incest, when a relative have sex with another relative, you know, rape, molestation, um, alcoholism, you know, you name it. All them dysfunctional attitudes or characters in the black family. And we picked that. We picked. Now, I'm not trying to put the blame of our problems on on anyone, okay? But I'm just telling you the truth. Where all this here dysfunctional stuff extends from, where it comes from, the root of it, okay? So that we could talk about it. And these things, we really, really do need to talk about it because, again, it is hindering some of us from moving forward with our lives. You know, um, uh, uh, we have nightmares, um, you know, which is bad dreams. Wow. Man, y'all have to excuse me. I'll be all over the place with, I'm really fragmented with this here dysfunctional family post-traumatic slave syndrome topic. I'm all over the place with it. So you all try to keep up with me if you can, please. Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah. But I'm talking about it because my family has been affected by it really, really, really bad. Right? And I'm quite sure my family is not the only family that has been uh, that's dysfunctional. I just put it like that. So what helped me to be able to deal with dysfunction in my family, or help me to deal with my traumas that I've been through when, from a child growing up into adulthood, is when and I'm not telling y'all to do what I did, no, but when I joined on to the Nation of Islam and started studying the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and realizing where my hurt and my pain was coming from. I was awakened, and we're taught in the nation to study and research, learn, gain knowledge, and work on self-improvement. Self-improvement is the basis for community development, Like Michael Jackson says, um, look at the man in the mirror and, so he can change his ways. So that helped me. The teachings and of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, going to MGT classes, helped me to control my emotions, get them under control, right? Because one while I was like, oh, I'll pull a gun in a minute, straight up. I will be, as they say, Hurricane Katrina. I will be a Hurricane Katrina in a minute, for real, for real. But that calmed me down. It taught me to take control of my emotions, right? And don't let my emotions destroy me and those that I love. So I started researching the the trauma and the effects of slavery and the reason why we walk around with a lot of anger, hidden anger and and hurt and pain and why do we hate ourselves so much? Why do we want to bleach our skin and put in contact lenses and perm our hair and all these things, is part of the self-hatred. So, I researched all of that stuff and it goes all the way back to what we've been through, okay? Again, dysfunctional families, post-traumatic slave syndrome, it goes way back, you know, our ancestors that was forced into slavery. Absolutely, what they've been through, because we was taught that black is ugly, big lips is ugly, big nose, big butts. All that is ugly, even though other folks is trying to get that what we got, right? What we got naturally. Yep. But that's funny how we're hated so much by the world, but yet they want to be us. Have y'all thought about that? We are hated so much, you know, by the world, but yet they want to be us. We are trendsetters, right? Yeah. But you go back there and you study history, because we are or were an enslaved people. And what we went through, it is so horrible. The mid-Atlantic slave trade, the Black Holocaust was the worst Holocaust on the planet Earth in history, okay? And we went through that for hundreds of years, you know? So we've been made a hybrid people. We have been made of people other than ourselves. And we have adopted somebody else's ways, not willingly, but forcefully. Somebody else's perverted, backwards, reprobated ways was forced upon us, right? For hundreds of years. So now we have learned to be that way. We have learned to be like the beast, okay? Because when I look back in the Black community as a child growing up, and I compare the time, that era to this era, back then, we were more respectful of each other. We were more together. We had more unity. Um, we were more loving and had patience, for each other. And there were some things that we do today you wouldn't dare do back then. You wouldn't dare. No, mm-mm. But today, it's your thing. Do what you want to do. I can't tell you who to sock it to. No. Hey, so that's how it is today. We live in a backwards, reprobated generation, jacked up generation. This is a wicked time that we're living in, right? So back then we had more unity amongst each other in the 60s. And we was proud too. We was a proud people, and when I look back then, Black children didn't disrespect their parents. They didn't cuss their parents out. They didn't commit suicide. They wasn't, if they were, it was, you know, uh, if they did do that, I didn't know about it, you know. But no, we didn't do those things back then. We wasn't on drugs like we're on drugs today, but it has gotten worse and worse, right? Generational, intergenerational trauma, post-traumatic slave syndrome that we are suffering from. And nowadays you got the men taking the women place and the women taking the men place, right? Um, you got a a lot of single fathers, single mothers, broken families, and we don't want to be like that. We don't want that. No, we don't. We want our families to be together, unity. Uh, we want functional families. We love our children. Yeah, yes, we do. But these children, these little children, 3 years old, will cuss you out. Yeah, but you guys, no, we are hurting. Black families are hurting. Yeah. And I know we live in the time of information. This is the information age that we're living in. Um, and, you know, um, hey, okay. I would say no excuse for one family member to take out his anger on another family member, but it happens, okay? That happens. Um, Again, it's we acting other than ourselves. Mm-hmm. And this stuff, we really need to talk about it. We really need to work on this um, dysfunctional family, even though it wasn't really meant for us to be functional in the Black community. But I'm tired of it, y'all. I'm tired of dysfunctional Black families. I love Black people, and I want to see us liberated from somebody else's mindset. You know, I'm tired of um, children being taken advantage of within the family, being molested, raped, um, teen pregnancies, abortions, um, babies not living. It's babies that are born, they die before they even get out of the hospital. Um, High infant mortality rates is going on. Lord, it's just so much, you guys, just so much. But only one's going to be able to help us is us. We cannot depend on nobody else to help us but us. I'm serious, you guys. This is something that we need to talk about. We need to look into it. We need to do something about it. And we can't look to no other race of people to do it for us, to help us psychologically. No, because they're not going to help us. It's not out there. So we have